So we're going to do just 3 questions to summarize the conference. The first one is, as we move into a world of immersive technologies, how will virtual and augmented reality transform storytelling?
Oh boy, that's a good question. That could be another presentation altogether. Well, there's things that we know and there's things that we still, it's so early in the technology that I think a lot of these things we will discover as we go, as we're doing it. I think one thing that we're working on right now is to get a different kind of participation from the audience. Cinema was partially a passive experience. We were still asking the audience to, as a filmmaker, to trust us, to let them guide us. So there is a participation, there's a part of imagination, there's a part of empathy that is required. In mixed reality or in augmented reality or VR storytelling, we will need some kind of different participation from the audience, and we have to know and to start to learn how this works. So this is part of all the experimentation that is happening right now, and it's a very exciting time to be doing VR because the language doesn't exist quite yet. The language of cinema has been evolving, but pretty much fixed for a certain amount of years. Now we're developing it for XR, which is really exciting and really fun.
Okay, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
So the second one is, what do you think are the main challenges for creators in bringing a truly immersive experience to the audience?
Access to technology is still an issue, and not just the access for the creator, because there's some cost, there's some difficulty. If the creator is not a coder or doesn't know how to use the technology, there's maybe an entry point or a learning curve that is difficult. But I think also it's access for the people that can experience the story or experience the project. It's not widely spread. People don't all have a VR headset at home. Theater or museum are not all equipped, and when they are, the technology is so new that it's changing fast. So it's difficult to make a decision and say, oh, I'm going to get equipped with this, and 6 months later, a year later, the technology is different. And it's simply because now technology evolves so fast, it's so easy to prototype, it's so easy to make short run of new product, to test it and then move on to something else, that it makes the adoption for people, I think, that much more difficult. But it will mature. One of the reasons it will mature, it's maybe not the best reason, but it's because corporations will want to make money. And eventually they need a marketplace, they need a way to sell things, to show advertising, and right now they're willing to invest into creating the platform without making a profit, because they know in the long run, or maybe not that far away, they will probably benefit from that tremendously. So it's not the best reason. I'm from a governmental organization, and I'm all for trying to make things open source and open to everybody. I don't want somebody to own the technology too early or ever, but that's what they're going to try to do. So that means they will standardize, and it will then become more accessible.
So the same thing that happened with cinema, probably.
With cinema, exactly the same thing that happened with internet.
Industrializing, talking about that.
And internet became, it was this really free, far west, free, open thing, and eventually it got more and more narrow and owned and controlled by very few. And it's a problem. In my point of view, it is a problem, and I think augmented reality, mixed reality has the potential to be the same thing, to be the new internet, the new marketplace, the new
Far West.
But do we want all this to be owned by Facebook and Microsoft and Google? I hope not. But it will help, at least in spreading a network that will be available. And device that will eventually be really functional and available to all. But I still think we have to be careful about that. Making sure that it's not owned.
It's an important compromise. Like YouTube is now the biggest cultural aggregator, but it's not more longer the Far West.
No, and when they can track really your eyeballs
Yeah.
and what you see and how long you see it and what you do, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a lot of ethical questions there that need to be answered, and a lot of rules. And it's not just that. When we talk about mixed reality space, so the AR cloud, that will mean that the 3D environment around us will have been scanned. This might include your room, your home, your surrounding, your school, and it not only they can track you with GPS now. They can track with, if we have ever augmented reality glasses that we use instead of our phone, they will be able to know what you're looking at in the room where you are.
Okay, that's pretty scary.
It's scary, yeah.
Okay, and the last question is, which are, in your opinion, the main technologies issues that should be tackled to improve the impact of XR technologies in broadcast media and entertainment industries?
Well, I think there's kind of a natural evolution happening.
Okay.
Again, in my talk yesterday, I was saying that the word I would not use is revolution. I don't believe in a technical revolution, because I think it's still, if you look at the history, it's still always just an evolution. I mean, people talk about the internet as being a revolution, but before the internet there was a BBS, bulletin board system, so there were people already that were interacting from one computer to another, sharing information, chat existed, chat room, sharing of images. So internet was kind of something logical that was coming after that. And if you look at AR, VR, you can look at all the technology that came into making this happen, and you can see that it was kind of obvious that it would get there. Okay. What needs to happen now is yes, a easier access for people to really find an interest, the public, in that product or that technology. And I think this will come with content, good content. And I don't think video game is necessarily the way to go, because video game is still, it's huge, it's an enormous market, but it's still limited to a percentage of the population. So it's going to be what other application, app. I think education might actually be the point of entry. Okay. In school, we have at the NFB efforts where we're trying to use augmented reality, for instance, to give kids an experience of what they learn and not just the information. If you want to see the size of a blue whale, it's something to show an image where you see the blue whale and a car next to it, and to say, okay, this is a blue whale and this is a car and this is how big a blue whale is. Yeah, fine, okay, I can imagine that. But if you give them an iPad and they see the actual blue whale in their room, now they have an experience of what the size of a blue whale is. And I think that's the kind of slowly tools that are going to make AR, XR, and VR more pervasive and then present in our culture.
Okay. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.